Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, we are live, everyone.
Okay, hello, everybody. Welcome this evening. I hope you all survived your snow shoveling. This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Annual notice of this meeting was provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 6th, 2021. In addition, notice of this meeting via Zoom was faxed to the Home News Tribune and emailed to the Star Ledger and the Highland Park Planet on January 29th, 2021, and was posted on the Borough website at www.hpboro.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue, Highland Park, New Jersey, on January 29th, 2021, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. As mayor, I preside over this council meeting and may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant statement or participation in the virtual meeting if the participant statement does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided to each participant for public comment, or if the statement is abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Councilman Hale, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Brill Mittler,
Here.
Councilwoman Canavera,
Here.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Here.
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Here.
Councilmember Hersh,
Here.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan,
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier,
Here.
Borough Administrator Hovere.
Here.
Okay. This is our 17th virtual council meeting. A recording of the proceedings of this meeting will be made available via HPTV following the meeting. Council members, does anyone have any questions on today's agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and work session meeting held January 19th, 2021 as distributed?
So moved.
You need a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Canavera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersh,
Here. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go through our council reports now. Okay, I'm going to go in order of how you all appear on my screen. So Councilman Hersh, you're up first.
You're muted, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, just wanted to thank you to John Marin, the Highland Park Arts Commission, and the Highland Park Middle School Community Art Club for organizing the social justice mural that you might see on the side of Pino's on North 4th Avenue. The vision for this public art project is part of the Windows of Understanding project, which is part of our effort to transform our Main Street spaces into literal windows of understanding. Spaces in which the community can learn about the positive strides being made by local organizations around a wide array of social justice issues that don't make daily headlines. Windows of Understanding, for those who don't know, is a creative community building response to the negativity and hate being perpetrated in today's media landscape. Our belief is that through visual language, artists can accommodate methods of understanding in powerful ways that cut across cultural boundaries. Windows of Understanding is now in its 4th year. And approximately 20 nonprofit organizations are paired with an artist facilitator to create an original work of art that addresses these identified issues for this year. And that includes climate change, food insecurity, healing from trauma, public health, and youth engagement. The works will be on display at venues throughout New Brunswick, Highland Park, and Metuchen starting January 18th and through February 28th, 2021. Virtual and hybrid programming such as walking tours, tables of understanding events, poetry readings, performances, educational workshops, community conversations, and film screenings complement the visual displays throughout the run. Please go to www.windowsofunderstanding.org for more about this exhibition. It's really, really cool. Just lastly, our Department of Aging can assist you in registering for a COVID-19 vaccine. Please call 732-819-0052 for assistance. You can also contact the state's toll-free vaccination hotline at 855-568-0545, which can assist callers with identifying if they're currently eligible for a vaccine, pre-register for a vaccine, and help them identify locations nearest to them where they can get vaccinated. Obviously, anybody who is trying to get a vaccine now understands that we do not have enough in New Jersey to serve the whole state. New Jersey is receiving about 100,000 vaccines a week, and an estimated 3 million people are currently waiting in the waiting system. So it is frustrating, and hopefully things will improve sooner rather than later. The hotline that I mentioned, the toll-free vaccination hotline, is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, and they can help callers in more than 240 different languages. You can also complete an online form at covid19.nj.gov/vaccine help. And that is my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hersh. Councilman Hale, do you have a report?
I do, Mayor. I wanted to congratulate Main Street Highland Park, Downtown New Jersey, which is a nonprofit organization that celebrates the downtowns in New Jersey and is a small business support group, recently awarded a placemaking award in the small organization early action category at their annual conference on January 21st. They recognized Main Street Highland Park's attention to helping our businesses during the pandemic, the way that the staff and volunteers continued to put on a farmers market, the way that they pivoted sort of away from doing what they traditionally do is events to focus more on things that they could do to help businesses. They recognize the things that they've done in the past, including planting days, mural projects, outdoor movies, and how to do all of those under a COVID situation. They particularly recognized and appreciated the work that Main Street Highland Park had done, along with the borough, I must say, in creating the town tables. And they thought that was an innovative and great use of our outdoor space. So it's an honor for Main Street Highland Park to get an award in this category and recognized statewide for their efforts to adapt to COVID and make a place out of a space when we don't have one. So I really wanted to recognize them. Another thing that Main Street Highland Park is doing that I would encourage, if you go to the Main Street Highland Park website, they have a mechanism for giving Valentines to your local businesses. They're hearts with their names on it that they can post out front just from people. You can, if there are donations you would like to make, they would love to be a part of that as well, to any of the businesses, but it's recognizing giving some love to all of the businesses in downtown. And if you go to the Main Street Highland Park website, you can do that all online, and they will distribute them. Again, keeping up that good work. As we said at our last redevelopment meeting, we are continually working on creating, after a great deal of public input, the professionals are working on a redevelopment plan, writing up the redevelopment plan, which we are giving them the time they need to put together. We look forward to presenting that to the public at some point in the future. But we've had a great deal of public input so far. We are just at the beginning of the redevelopment process. There's a lot more to go. But I wanted to let everybody know that that we are moving ahead, and a written document will be forthcoming. And again, we'll go through a process of putting that together and having the public comment on that as we move ahead. But I wanted to thank everybody who has contributed the ideas on the redevelopment for downtown. And so stay tuned for that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilman Hale. Councilwoman Canavera, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. First, I'd like to point out that February is Black History Month, and it's a good time for us to reflect on how far we've come, but how far we still need to go for equality. The theme for Black History Month this year is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. And the Human Relations Commission is still finalizing plans. Once they have those finalized, they'll be up on the borough website for everybody to see. The Board of Health would like to remind everybody to keep trying to get your vaccines. Matt already did what I was going to do by giving out the phone number, so thank you, Matt. Also, they'd like for people to continue to try to follow them on Instagram at HPBOROBOH for updates. The Commission for Universal Access is still looking for input from the community on inclusion programs that the residents would like to see. Food insecurity, as I keep mentioning, is at an all-time high. Between our community food pantry and Highland Park Gives a Hoot, they're serving over 300 families every month to help them receive food. The pantry is open the second and fourth Thursday on 9 a.m. to 10:45, and also from 6 to 7 p.m. and the Saturday following the Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30. And donations can be made using their Amazon wish list. Highland Park Gives a Hoot food pantry are every Tuesday from 10 to 11, and donations can be made by mailing a check to the borough within the memo section, Highland Park Gives a Hoot. And also the school is providing meals for all breakfast and lunch for all children in the borough, even if you are not in the school. They are distributed from 1 to 2 at the high school cafeteria. Mental Health Commission has started their Facebook page. It's called Highland Park Mental Health Commission. And they're getting ready to have their first meeting. If you are in crisis, please call for help. Rutgers University Behavioral Healthcare Hotline is 855-515-5700. Raritan Bay Medical Center's hotline is 732-442-3794. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Councilwoman Kim Chohan, do you have a report?
Yes, I do have a report. Normally, finance doesn't have that much to say, but I do because it's February and tax payments are now due. So please keep in mind, no post-dated checks will be accepted. There's a 10-day grace period. Tax payments received after the grace period will incur interest back to the first. And we have our secure drop box for tax and water payments located to the left of the front entrance of Borough Hall for your convenience. It's marked, please put payments here. All payments left in the drop box will be posted on the next business day. Please do not leave cash payments in the drop box. The Community Development Block Grant Committee will be holding their public hearing on applicants February 23rd, 4 p.m., and the meeting will be noticed. Also, on the property taxes, again, if you need a relief form completed, please contact 732-819-3787, and the tax collector's office will instruct you. Also, don't forget about our state property relief programs, the $250 tax deduction available for senior citizens, disabled veterans, and surviving spouses if you qualify. Our senior freeze property tax reimbursement, also if you qualify, that number is 1-800-882-6597, along with our homestead rebate and our small landlord emergency grant program. All of these programs that I've just mentioned, more details can be found at www.state.nj.us/treasury/taxation/relief. And also want to remind our small business owners to talk to your bank regarding the round 2 of SBA Paycheck Protection Program. Although there are new requirements, it isn't the same mad dash as the round 1, but just talk to your bank. There is funds still available over at SBA. And congratulations to Black Lives Matter for being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. What a way to kick off Black History Month. And today is Groundhog Day. I'm guessing 6 more weeks of winter. I think the groundhog hole was covered with snow, and hope everyone has a safe commute to work or school tomorrow. And that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Foster, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. Just want to remind everyone that yesterday there were a number of cars that had to be towed because they were in the street and they were blocking right of way. And our police department is not in the business of having people's car towed. That's a huge expense. They don't want that to happen. But if you're blocking right of way, they have to remove the car. So I'm asking everyone to please, parking spaces are tight and I'm fully aware. However, you have to find a place to park that you do not block fire engine, you do not block safety apparatus, you do not block the fire hydrants and emergency places. And just be careful where you park, so none of this, so you won't incur the cost of your car being towed and other expenses. Along with that, please do not dump your snow into the street. Find a way of packing it someplace else on your sidewalk, your curbs, your cutouts, but not into the street because it does cause issues. I'm quite sure Councilmember George is going to be talking about some issues with the street cleaning and what have you, but I know that DPW has been out there doing a long, hard day, 24-hour job. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all those dedicated DPW borough's behalf. And we need to be gracious and we need to be thankful that they are there making it happen for all of us. With that said, I too want to comment that this month is Black History Month. And just want to say that the Dr. Carter G. Woodson, he was the man behind the establishment and seeing this go forward for Black History Month. He worked tirelessly throughout his life to archive our history, to archive our ancestral history. And that's why we today can celebrate Black History Month. So many, many thanks to Dr. Goodson for making this all happen for all of us. He documented Black Wall Street. That's pretty prominent, and all the stuff that we have accomplished and all the stuff that we have not been given credit for. There is a whole archive, Dr. G. Woodson. If you go there, you will find all kinds of information on all our achievements that were overlooked, that was intentionally taken. It's all there, all documented. So you can go take a look. And thank you, everyone, and enjoy our Black History Month. We're Black all the time, but this is just an opportunity for everyone to learn a little bit more about the contributions that we have made, not only in the United States, but across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council President George, do you have a report?
I do, Mayor. I would like to first say that Native Plant Sanctuary wanted a grant from the New Jersey State Plant Society for $500. And congratulations to Mary Denver, Sue Edmonds, Belinda Beetham, and Andy Walters, who worked very hard. I got this news by actually meeting with the volunteers who were working Saturday in the Native Plant Sanctuary before the snowstorm hit. Thank you to Pam Holtzapfel, has submitted a new plan for the annual grants. It's much more detailed, it's much more professional, and looks and really works toward the management of the plan, including some guarantees and benefits for the planting that we need to replace. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Canavera for getting the Mental Health Commission up and running. There is a lot of need for that right now. Public Works Committee recently reviewed the state stormwater management regulations, which are required to be adopted into our ordinances in March of this year. The emphasis is primarily on green infrastructure for developments with soil disturbance over 1 acre, so that we are not substantially impacted. The borough has also been working with the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership with regard to possibly using Highland Park as a pilot, and those works are that's in the works and negotiations. Public Works, we're going to be looking at expansion of electric vehicle facilities over the coming year. I've circulated information on that to Councilman Hale, Councilman Hersh, for further discussions. This is Black History Month, as we've all recognized. I think that one of the most significant years in Black history was 2020, and it was a real wake-up call. And what we need to realize is what Barack Obama said when he took the presidency years ago, and he said, we need to recognize our diversity as well as our commonality. We are not all the same, and we don't have the same interests, except we all have our family, we all have our kids, we want to educate our kids, we want to live well. But when we reach such a massive divergence on psychological and moral issues that let us forget that is when we unmake history. Black history in 2020 and proceeding into 2021, especially anyone who witnessed the procedures of January 6th recognizes we've stepped back. It's not that we need to realize that we have things to work on. This country took a step back, and this country and this county and this area need to be more like Highland Park. We recognize our diversities. We work with those. We recognize that not everybody's the same, but we have a commonality of interest, which is all of us have the right to be happy, to raise our families, to get our kids in our high quality schools, and to be well and to be safe. We need to spread that message because this country desperately needs it. Black history in 2020 became everyone's history, and we need to recognize all of that. And this year needs to be dedicated to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, Council President. All right, Borough Administrator, do you have a report?
No, Mary, I don't have much to report tonight. The only thing I would add to just kind of piggyback on a couple things that were mentioned previously. One, I want to echo Councilwoman Foster's appreciation for the hard work of the Public Works team that has been out there for quite a bit. I can tell you I've been checking in regularly, and they're doing their utmost with what is a large amount of snow with very few places to put it. But I also ask residents to know that we are aware there are some spots that need extra attention, and we will make a point of getting to those first thing in the morning. If you have any concerns, you can call them. They're there starting at 7, and you can just mention a couple spots that if you think it may have gotten forgotten or is a particular danger, and they'll make a point of going out there and addressing the situation. So everybody, I want to thank everybody for their patience as we continue to dig out of this. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention after others was that there's also a county call-in center if you're having trouble with or wanting assistance with registering for a vaccine. So in addition to the state one, which Councilmember Hersh mentioned, or as well as the boroughs, the county's call center is 732-745-3100. So there are a lot of options, which unfortunately means it's tricky to make the system work, but I would encourage everyone to use all available resources and don't hesitate to call the borough, and we'll point you in the right direction if you run into trouble. But unfortunately, we're just dealing with a supply problem, but we're going to keep pushing ahead. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Borough Administrator. Councilwoman Foster, did you have your hand up?
I overlooked to say something that was really important about our warming centers. With this weather that we've had, that we're all experiencing, that there is a huge need to find a warm place to be. And so in need, if there's a Highland Park need, specifically Highland Park, please call our police department. So if there's a need in Highland Park for any kind of assistance, please call our dispatcher at the police department. Thank you.
Thank you, that is important. Borough Attorney, do you have a report?
No report, Madam Mayor.
All right. Stephanie, are you raising your hand?
Yeah. Because there were like many emails that went out, and I'm not sure if it's just Triangle as well. So Northside is having garbage collection tomorrow, and there's no recycle this week, correct?
And it's also the Triangle. That was an error in the original distribution, but there's Northside and Triangle. Recycling was canceled, and the makeup day for the garbage is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So tomorrow is still on. So tonight.
Well, we recognize getting the toters may be a challenge, getting them out.
Yeah.
Do your best. But if it's not safe and you're not able, you can just, you can make it up next week.
Yeah, Terry, I wanted to note that as well.
Bill. Yeah.
You know, we did cancel recycling because trash is more important. We are going to have crews doing the collection, so there will be fewer crews on the street doing clearing. We will be trying to hit the more important areas and then getting to the side streets. So everyone, please be patient. And Mike did ask me to make sure that everybody is careful with their toters, you know, because some driveways still aren't clear. There's sometimes 6 feet between the curb and the road is cleared. It may be very difficult. If you can't get it out there because it's too difficult to move or there's just nowhere to put it, just leave it be. We'll pick it up. You know, hopefully there's some melt occurring and we'll be able to do it. They will try to pick up what we can, but please just be safe and careful first.
Okay. I do have a report tonight. As several of our council members mentioned, February is African American History Month. And tonight, in honor of our own African American history, I'd like to celebrate the life of one of Highland Park's own treasures, Ms. Juanita Collier. Sadly, Ms. Collier passed in 2020, but her memory is a blessing to us all. Born Juanita Malia Augustone in Highland Park in 1929, she was the oldest living African American here till she passed last year. As a young woman, she was determined to become a research chemist after graduating Highland Park High School in 1946. A strong commitment to her dreams led to fruition. While at Rutgers, she obtained a job as a laboratory aide at ER Squibb, Bristol-Myers. She then went on to study chemistry and mathematics at Virginia Union University in Richmond. With her degree in hand, she returned home to Highland Park. As outlined in her obituary last year, and I quote, "In 1951, Mrs. Collier received her baccalaureate in chemistry and mathematics and returned to New Jersey ready to work. However, 1950s America wasn't ready to hire colored unmarried women, degreed or not. After answering over 40 ads in her discipline, Mrs. Collier took a file clerk job and enrolled in the evening graduate chemistry program at Rutgers. She later secured a position in the U.S. Army Ordnance Laboratory at Raritan Arsenal as a chemist trainee, where after 6 months, she was promoted to chemist analytics, increasing her professional stature and compensation. Mrs. Collier rose through the ranks of companies like Bristol-Myers, Colgate-Palmolive R&D, and finally RCA Semiconductor Division before resigning from industry to pursue a full-time graduate degree in educational media technology at Rutgers, which she completed in 1973. But it was here in Highland Park that Mrs. Collier will always be remembered for her commitment to our community and our youth through her work with the Highland Park Juvenile Conference, Park Planning and Preservation, and voter registration committees, as well as the Cultural Art Commission. I had the distinct pleasure of sharing the high school auditorium stage with Mrs. Collier in 2017 at Highland Park's Dr. King Humanitarian Awards event. Tonight, at the beginning of African American History Month, let us remember and celebrate the life of Mrs. Juanita Malia Augustono-Collier, a true Highland Park hero. Thank you all. Finally, making our own history to advance equity issues and justice in Highland Park, I do want to thank the members of the newly formed Mayor's Equity Advisory Council for their commitment to helping me move our community forward as we look at ways to improve community involvement in police practices. The leadership of our police department has been paving the way for this by welcoming community input at open public forums and regularly posting documents on their website and holding meetings with residents interested in exploring concerns. But there is more that we need to do, and my Equity Advisory Council will be working closely with me and with Councilwoman Foster, who heads up the council's Public Safety Committee, to address more issues and make our police department responsible to equity issues. Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion? Sorry. Okay, I have my papers correct now. Okay, we're about to start our public participation portion of the meeting. It is now time for us to begin this. Total time allotted is 21 minutes for our first session, 3 minutes maximum per speaker. Comments are limited to items on the agenda. If you want to speak on an item that is not listed, please do not do so now. Hold your comments for the second public comment session later in the meeting. The Borough Clerk will monitor the time and indicate when 3 minutes has lapsed. She will give you a warning when there is 30 seconds remaining. There will be a hard stop at the 3-minute mark to make sure that everyone who would like to speak has a chance. As a reminder, I may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement if it does not adhere to the 3 minutes provided, or if the statement is abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand by pressing the *9 on your phone or select the raise hand button on the Zoom application. The Borough Administrator will announce your turn by reading off your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number. Please begin by telling us your name and your first and last name, as well as your address. Again, if you would like to speak about a topic on the agenda, please press *9 or raise your hand on the raise hand button. Borough Administrator, do you have any hands raised?
I see one, and just for the record, we have 6 attendees at this point. The hand I see raised is labeled Jersey Watcher. We'd ask you to share your name and your address. You're now unmuted.
Hello, Bristol, Edison, New Jersey. Even though under the sunshine law, I don't have to give it, I just, I'll give it this time around.
Excuse me, could you tell me, could you please say your first and last name?
Oh, yes, Mayor. Crystal Macropolis. Now, I had some trouble reading the agenda, which was posted online. I actually thought that this public portion right now, this is only for the resolutions, am I correct? This isn't public comments, right?
It's
This is meant to be
on any item that is on the agenda.
Are you having a public comments later on?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay, because when I was reading the agenda earlier, I didn't see that, and I was about to say that's a violation of the law, but no, not at all. It's good. All right. I also saw somewhere on the agenda about rules of order, Mayor, but I didn't see anything specific. Like, are you guys like changing your rules? And when I mean that, I mean like the Faulkner Act or?
No, nothing like that.
Oh, okay, because all right, that was just confusing to me.
We'll be talking more about it later and you'll hear more details.
Okay, for Black History Month, I just want to say that I like Malcolm X and the Ethiopian King, Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian Orthodox Christian King, Haile Selassie. Some people, they know him by the name Rastafari, but Rastafari is not just some cult where people just smoke weed. This was actually a nickname that was given to the Emperor Haile Selassie, very respected. And I see some members on the council might not like what I said, but this is an actual fact. His nickname was Rastafari. I wasn't saying anything wrong. I'm an Orthodox Christian myself, so that's why I look up to him. And I'm just gonna yield my time now because
30 seconds.
That whole agenda, Mayor, it was real confusing for me to go through. You know, because I looked through a lot, I go through a lot of towns and freeholders, but for some reason I had trouble with this agenda, so I'll just come back later.
Okay, thank you. Borough Administrator, are there any other hands raised?
No, Mayor, not at this time.
All right, then we're going to move on. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject the resolution to approve emergency temporary appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Canavera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yeah, again, for the public's interest, these are normal resolutions for early in the year before the final budget is adopted, just allowing transfers to fund the government before the budget is adopted. Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the resolution, adopt or reject the resolution to approve the budget transfers?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Canavera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster, Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Somebody has a radio or something playing in the background. So if you can, please, turn it down. Okay. We're moving on to our ordinances. Clerk, could you please report on advertising an ordinance to amend the administration of government ordinance for consideration of passage on final reading of title?
An ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 3, Administration of Government, was duly advertised for consideration of passage on final reading by title, and affidavits of publication are on file. The ordinance was posted and made available for public inspection as required by law.
Okay. Is there any public hearing on this?
A motion
ordinance?
first.
Oh, okay, thank you. May I have a motion to adopt?
So
Take
moved.
up on final reading by title.
Okay,
So moved.
I have a motion to take up the ordinance on final reading by title.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
You need to have the public hearing.
Public hearing.
Okay, so the motion happens before the public hearing with
Then
no vote.
motion to adopt. Yes.
Okay, just, we'll open this up for a public hearing now. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this? Borough Administrator, any hands?
I do see a hand. It looks like it's our Jersey watcher, but please state your name again for us so we confirm it's you.
Christo Macropolis.
And your address, Christo?
According to the Sunshine Law, I don't have to provide my address. It just says when it's the public's time to speak, to let us speak. But I will let you guys know right now, so you guys know for the future. I don't want to be anonymous. I'm Edison, New Jersey. I'm on Fox Road. My family, all my family's from Highland Park. They went to school in Highland Park. I love Highland Park. So may I continue to attend your meeting as well?
Yes, could you please state your question?
Yeah, what's what are you guys talking about right now? I wasn't really listening. I was waiting for public comments, but anytime it's a public point, I like to raise my hand. What's the ordinance that you're speaking on?
So this is an amendment to an ordinance that we've been discussing in work session publicly for a while now. Borough Attorney, would you like to address that question?
Madam Mayor, I think I have to defer either to Terry or to the clerk. I'm working remotely and I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, Borough Clerk, would you like to explain the nature of the ordinance?
Yes, this ordinance is amending the council committees that were changed at the beginning. So this just amends the ordinance to align the committees under the proper council liaisons. So it's
Alright.
just fixing the ordinance to align the organization chart.
Can you
So
be a part?
basically, Christopher, every year, the council reorganizes the different committees that they have responsibility for. And this is changing that chart for this year. This is an ordinance that we change every year.
Oh, I have a question. I definitely have a question on this. I've been trying to get on the boards in Edison for 3 years, trying to get them to make a human rights. Joyce is doing the human relation. All their boards are empty. They won't even put me on an empty board. Can somebody from outside of Highland Park, if they were to fill out a form, I'm not just saying me, but even if it was somebody from outside Highland Park, if they filled out a form for a commission or a board, would you guys, does Highland Park accept out of town?
I don't think so, but I would have to again refer to the borough clerk or the attorney.
Yeah, I want to go listen to what the attorney has to say, not what those two council members who I know they would never want me on any of the boards. Attorney, what do you have to say about that?
As a rule, you have to be a resident of the Borough of Highland Park to serve on one of the commissions or the committees. If you had an interest in a given specific committee or body, we could take a look at that, but as a rule, you have to be a resident.
Do you have a Human Rights Commission?
We have a Human Relations Commission.
Well,
I'm not sure if there are any vacancies on that commission, but that's something you can call the clerk's office and ask about. Yeah, I'm not sure the process we would have to go through to change the regulations to allow anyone from outside Highland Park.
Well, please make the Human Rights Commission too, even if it's not for out at Highland Park members. It's a serious issue, and it's a little bit different than human relations, and every city should have a Human Rights Commission. I'll yield my time and come back for public comments, though.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, Borough Administrator?
No, Mayor.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then may I have a motion to adopt and to advertise the ordinance on final reading by title?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Canavera,
yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersh,
Yes, and thank you, Joan, for putting the chart together. I got my copy and it's in front of me always. Thank you.
you're welcome. Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda items. May I have a motion to adopt items number 15A through 15I?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Canavera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilmember Hersh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Okay, it is now time for the second public discussion session. Each speaker has 3 minutes, but may comment on any topic. The borough clerk will monitor the time and will offer a 30-second warning and then indicate when 3 minutes has lapsed. The session will wrap up by 9 p.m. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand by pressing the *9 on your phone or select the raise hand button on the application. The borough administrator will announce your turn by reading out your name and or the last 4 digits of your phone number. Please begin by telling us your first and last name as well as your address. Again, if you would like to speak about a topic on this agenda, please press *9 or the raise hand button now. Okay, Borough Administrator, do we have any hands raised?
I have one hand and 4 attendees at this point. Looks like, and I'm gonna, Chris, Jersey Watcher, has raised his hand again, but if he could just state his name to confirm that it's him, please.
Christo, not Chris.
Oh, I apologize.
T-O at the end. Am I recognized?
Yes.
Okay.
I just need you to once again state your address so that it's on the record.
Okay, next time I'm gonna fight this policy, but Fox Road, Edison, New Jersey. The racist Councilman Kyle Anderson of Woodbridge created a Facebook post.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't allow you to go on if you're going to use slurs against anybody. It's not the way we operate here. So if you'd like to speak, then you cannot defame anybody on this.
Mayor, I did disable his speaking. Shall I resume?
Borough Attorney, yes.
Okay, you're able to speak again.
I apologize, Mayor. And if you give me a chance, you'll understand what the relevance is to Highland Park. The Councilman Kyle Anderson of Woodbridge created a Facebook post where he lied and claimed I called him a fake N-word, even though a video exists that proves he's a liar because it never happened. I was physically assaulted many times. Many people have threatened to kill me. The very same radicals that some of the council people here pander to, for example, Highland Park resident Eugene McElroy, who's a Rutgers librarian, and spit.
Okay, Mr. Chris.
I did not say anything wrong, Mayor.
I don't want to be in a position where we are hearing anything that could be slanderous. And so, Borough Attorney, your point of view on this?
Madam Mayor, I think you announced at the beginning that the comments have to be relevant and they cannot be slanderous. And I think we're moving in that direction. I think the speaker should be terminated.
Okay, thank you very much. Borough Administrator, did you silence the microphone?
I did. I did as soon as you indicated it was inappropriate.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else out there raising their hand?
No, Mayor, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, then council member.
Well, no, sorry, it was the same gentleman as prior raised hand. So.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask the council members, does anyone need a 5-minute recess before we go into work session?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then let's move ahead. Okay, first item on the work session. By the way, at the work session, no formal actions may be taken. First item, state mandated changes to stormwater management ordinance. I have that as Phil and Terry.
I still was gonna go, yeah.
As I said earlier in my report, the Public Works met to discuss this several times. We discussed at the last meeting in January, the real nuts and bolts of what needed to be done. The amendments were referred to Sustainable Highland Park and to the Environmental Commission. Well, we got their comments back. The borough attorney is working on the draft. The primary changes relate more to development work. That they use several keys, which are similar to the existing stormwater management plans. How much acreage is being disturbed? It's listed as 1 acre now. And it will also, once those are keyed in, it does include a number of green infrastructure initiatives to control stormwater runoff, which were not premiered, shall we say, in the former stormwater management. I do have the state DEP's FAQ list on those changes, which I can circulate to everyone prior to our consideration of the ordinance, once Ed's office gets it shaped up, and we'll get the ordinance along with the FAQs out to understand where it is. But in reading through the regulations, the primary changes are number one, to developments which disturb over 1 acre. Given, as Environmental Commission commented, given our subsoil makeup, which is basically shale and clay, some of the green infrastructure suggestions are good, but we probably will not run into many of the problems that they foresee, which are related more to groundwater transference. The other thing is there are there are changes required for floodplains. We don't really have any development that's likely to occur in our floodplains, but the overall green infrastructure suggestions will certainly help. As you know, the Meadows Trail has been working on river replanting in our floodplain down along the river, so the changes are probably going to help us a lot with our riverfront. Terry's also reached out to the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership. I've been talking to them as well. They'll have some input. Going forward, there are also some federal changes and more state regulations that they're willing to assist us with, and Terry is working on a memorandum of understanding with them. I spoke with Heather Fennick today. It's the director of Lower Raritan Watershed. They're willing to work with us, and I think that we'll actually be moving beyond just these regulations, not in making them more onerous or more different, but in taking the steps beyond this that we have to take. So we should be ready for a March adoption. The regulation says by March 2nd. Realistically, I don't think we're going to be sent to our room without dinner if we don't make it, if you have questions. But I think we're on track to have it adopted in March.
So I have a question, and then Matt, I'll go to you. Does this in any way impact our river trail project?
I don't believe it does, because the requirements for floodplain, and that's primarily where that would be. For the section that's in the Meadows Trail, there's not going to be development there. The disturbance is not over 1 acre in development. I think that any potential is not impacted. The closest, quote, development near any portion of the trails along the river, starting in Johnson's Park, are on the other side of the road with 31 River Road. I was one of the concerns that I had is whether our section from the bridge to Johnson's Park, which is of course our native plant sanctuary, it's also partially county property, and then you've got the Devonshire apartments there as well. And it doesn't appear, there may be some impact going forward if Devonshire has to do any changes to their water or sewer, but barring that emergency, which I think is unforeseeable, there does not appear to be any impact for us.
Okay. And Councilman Hale, you had a question.
So I guess my first question was also about the river trail, that is the changes to the flood basin, does that make it more difficult for anything to be developed down there? Not that there's anything that we have necessarily in right away, but if there was something that we wanted to try and do to activate that area a little bit more, is this going to make it more difficult?
I hesitate to say more difficult, and Ed, you can weigh in on this too. Both of us do a lot of zoning and planning work in another lifetime looking at these questions. What I saw from Highland Park's point of view is that it does not specifically affect us and our Meadows Trail. What it does affect is any stormwater runoff that would run into those areas from development. And again, the regs are the stormwater regulations that we have to adopt into our ordinance are really looking to control that a little bit better, control the particulate amounts, to use green infrastructure, which is actually a better filter than many mechanical means, and also able to filter much greater amount of water than our mechanical means can do right now. I don't believe that there can be any development in a floodplain just because of the regulations since '76. But I think what it does is it's going to assist us over the long haul in having in essence, our floodplains are the filters for stormwater runoff, and we've recognized for a long time, especially through the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, that our Meadows Trail and our native plant sanctuary are great filters in our area that not a lot of other towns have. The regulations protect those. They don't license development. They don't really change the fact that current regulations don't allow it. What they do is they protect it more by looking at upland runoff and placing more, I don't want to call them necessarily restrictions, just better management and more modern practices on controlling that runoff.
So my second question, oh, go ahead, Ed.
Mr. Hale, I would agree with Mr. George, and I think it's really a matter of the magnitude of the disturbance in the area. And we've had that conversation, by the way, with CME, who we're working with on the ordinance. And they did not think that the river trail would be negatively impacted.
Okay.
So, Councilman George, you said that there were green infrastructure suggestions that are a part of this that that you were encouraged by. I'm wondering if there is money to help implement those green infrastructure suggestions from the state as a part of this, or this is something that will pay.
There is no finance attached to this specifically, but there are other funds available there's the infrastructure bank, which may have money. And I think that, and Terry can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that a percentage of CDBG money can also be allocated towards, if not the actual green infrastructure, then the planning for it. I have it, but I just can't pull it up.
What I guess how I would answer that, I'm sorry, Mary, just jump in. The way I guess I want to make sure it's clear, because from the way Councilman Hale asked the question, I'm not sure that it is. The stormwater management rules, they would apply to borough projects, but they apply to development projects from the private sector. And I believe the way the DEP approaches it is moving forward, developers of their own property, be it municipal or otherwise, have to follow these new, more, in a way, it's to say advance is kind of funny because it's going back to letting nature do its job to some extent, standards. So I guess I wouldn't be overly alarmed that the burden is going to fall on the borough to support. But for example, we have done green infrastructure projects in our town, the rain gardens along the avenue, the teen center project, so we are trying to incorporate this. So I think I look at this ordinance as very much in alignment with the direction the borough has been going. And it's actually been years and years and years of discussion about these regulations at the DEP to get to this point. And that really the crux that we have to look at, and I think we already have kind of opinions from our usual environmental folks and from CME and others regarding, do we want to make it a smaller area that would trigger these regulations? And the sense we're getting is the answer is no. And that probably the better way to handle that would be through redevelopment. If we want to implement green infrastructure on those projects, we can work with the developer through the redevelopment agreement to make sure we have something that works for everybody. But that's stuff that'll come out of the public works, and the final version of the ordinance for everybody to review will reflect that. But I guess I want to make sure everybody's clear that these are basically development regulations that used to be you had to handle it with a big basin over here or whatever you do to manage the stormwater. Now they're trying to incorporate more requirements for on-site treatment as opposed to just shipping it into the stormwater system, so that the outfalls have to deal with it and on the other end. So I guess I feel like in a weird way, even though this is a big deal for the state of New Jersey, it's kind of a no-brainer for the borough of Highland Park in a lot of ways. And I think it will be very comfortable doing it.
I would agree with that comment. The impacts on us as a borough are not significant.
Right. But we have to be mindful of the project developers. But I think we don't have greater than an acre sites too many places. So I think it's manageable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, second item on the work session agenda, PSE&G solar field project update. Terry?
Well, I think, Mayor, you asked me to report on this because I think the perception is that project's long done, and you're correct. There have been solar panels operational on that project for a long time. However, we finally cleared the last kind of step in the process. We've closed out our permit for the disruption of because if you'll recall, that was an old landfill. So there was a whole permit process around disruption of the landfill, and it took some working, but we really ended up in a good place working with the DEP, our partners with PSE&G. And again, I guess I'll toot the Public Works horn again tonight. Really a lot of good work from Public Works managing some of the cleanup that we had to do along the Meadows Trail as a term of getting that permit and closing that out. So it was, while yes, the panels have been there and working for some time, this project has taken a lot of people to get it to where it is. And we finally have the paperwork. I think there's one other thing I have to sign, in a big packet of paperwork that'll go back up to the Board of Public Utilities. But it's nice when you can check off done and we're pretty much there.
Yes. Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss about their goals? Council President?
Just two things, Mayor. I think for 2021, I'd like to discuss with Council by circulating a list of our general goals and also suggestions for your individual, what you want to accomplish in 2021. One of my individual goals has been for every year ongoing is electric vehicles that we've actually, with Terry's cooperation and pushing that, we actually hit goal number 1 and we hit goal number 2. We replaced our old fuel efficient but really classic Jeep Cherokees with electric vehicles. We have the charging stations for municipal, which are available to the public at public rate. We did phase 2, which is we got hybrid vehicles for the police department. I'm moving to phase 3. I'll have it on the agenda for public works on an ongoing basis as needed for phase 3, which is to make our ordinances, our building department, our development more electric vehicle friendly. I've had that on my desktop and written up for a number of years, and I think it's definitely time to do it. And joining in what Terry had to say about PSE&G, as you know, the end of last week, they announced their new initiative for municipal electric vehicles, so that with their assistance, and we also have technology, I keep saying one of the industries that we can supply and rely on in this area is technology. We have techies who are developing alternate means of charging, which makes it available and affordable and sustainable for all elements of our population. And so that's going to be my goal, but I'll also be circulating to everyone over the coming weeks with, so beginning to coalesce on what we need to accomplish in 2021. And hopefully some of it's not related to survival during wartime with the pandemic. Like some of it hopefully gets to return to normal a little bit.
Yes, well, that would be nice. Thank you, and good work with those e-stations that we've got so far, and the turnover in the fleets, both to you and to Terry. Okay.
I actually use one of the e-stations just to go over there and see, because I have a full electric car now. I bought it last year, and there was another car actually there, so I had to wait. I was actually surprised. I thought no one would be there. You know, usually you go to Supercharger or whatever, but another car was there, and we were, you know, talking and everything. I was actually surprised. It's pretty good. Like it's.
And I think, didn't GM announce that they're moving their entire production to electric vehicles?
Yeah, I think they have, yeah.
Councilman Hale?
Yeah, just, I guess I hadn't quite realized that the public had the ability to use those charging stations down at DWP. Do they need to call ahead of time? Do people need to, you just show up?
So they're at community center, so don't come into public works.
Hey, even better.
And they're, you know, along the South 6th entrance to the parking lot there, the first entrance in. And I thought there were two, Stephanie. So you may have not realized there are two stations.
Maybe the way the car was parked, I don't know.
Okay, it might be. But anyway, just so people know there are two. It's a charge point station. So those of you who have EV may be familiar with that tool. We did a lot of shopping and found that one to be the best kind of to meet our needs. And one of the advantages of it, if you're in there, I have an electric car too.
Yep.
Oh, you froze, Terry.
I think we've lost Terry.
Whoops.
No, we didn't lose her. We just have her in mid gesture.
So yeah, they're really
maybe Bernie and his mittens can fill in. There we go.
There you go, Terry.
Was I for? Oh, my internet connection is unstable, so I'm going to stop talking.
Anyway, it's a good thing.
Yeah, Matt, we were, if you remember, many years ago. Well, it seems like many years ago. As a result of Superstorm Sandy, we put in the generator at the community center for resilience, and we were lucky enough to catch it at the time in the specifications to have the wiring for future charging stations actually wired in there, so that when we did finally get the grant for the 2 charging stations, it was a lot easier to hook them up. But we still had to pay for the installation, but we already had some of the hard wiring installed early.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add on their goals? Okay. At this point, I'd like to ask for a motion to go into executive session regarding litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so Borough Administrator, we need to make sure that we're